Today's real incident comes from Sejal, who lives in Chhattisgarh. This incident happened in 2008 to her friend's brother, who had just completed his 12th grade. But what exactly happened? And how did such a young boy manage to summon the terrifying spirit known as Karn Pishachini? You'll hear the entire journey today, so I urge you to stay with me until the end because you'll witness and learn things you never imagined in your life. Welcome to Horror Stories. I'm Ankur Pundit, and on this channel I bring you real-life paranormal incidents and activities shared by those who have experienced them firsthand. Your comments are our motivation, so please keep them coming. Now let's dive into the real incident. Sejal shared that her friend's brother, Amit, was in the 10th grade at the time. Amit was an introverted person, often keeping to himself. But as they say, introverted people can sometimes be incredibly creative, and maybe Amit was one of them. He was an average student, had just a couple of close friends, and didn't interact much with others. But like many school journeys, there was one girl that Amit liked very much. Her name was Tammanna. She had been studying with him since nursery, and Amit was deeply fond of her. Amit always thought that one day he would confess his feelings to Tammanna, and he decided that he would do it if he passed the 10th grade. After the board exams, when the results were announced, Amit found out that Tammanna had topped the class, and he had also scored quite well. Everyone in their circle had passed with good marks, and Amit's few friends constantly encouraged him to confess his feelings to Tammanna. After passing the 10th grade, they organized a party to celebrate, thinking it would be a good idea to have a get-together since some students might switch schools for different streams like arts, commerce, or science. Amit, his friends, Tammanna, and her friends all went to a club to party. They were still too young to be allowed drinks, but Amit's friends managed to arrange some with the help of the club manager. The atmosphere was great. Everyone was dancing, and even the girls had a little drink. But Amit remained sensible, knowing that if anyone drank too much, he would have to take care of them. Little did he know that everyone would manage themselves, but Tammanna would not be able to. At the end of the night, as everyone was about to leave, Amit noticed that Tammanna wasn't in a state to go home alone. Amit approached her and offered to drop her home if she didn't mind. Tammanna initially refused a couple of times, not suspecting anything, because she never saw Amit in that light. After some insistence, she agreed, and they picked an auto to go home. Tammanna, feeling very tired, rested her head on Amit's shoulder. This made Amit feel like maybe she liked him too. In a moment of impulse, Amit kissed her on the forehead and then, feeling emboldened, kissed her on the lips. Tammanna, being drunk, didn't react at the time. When they reached home, Amit also returned to his home. That night, Amit was overjoyed, thinking that Tammanna had accepted his feelings. The next day, he went to school, eager to tell his 2 or 3 friends about the kiss, feeling like it was a huge achievement for him. As he was sharing this with his friends, Tammanna entered the class and went straight to Amit. Without a word, she slapped him in front of everyone and said that she remembered everything from the previous night. She accused him of taking advantage of her in a drunken state, saying he was only capable of such cowardly acts. Amit, who had thought everything was going positively, found himself in a very negative situation. It didn't take long for this news to spread throughout the school. The incident quickly became known among juniors, seniors, and even teachers. To avoid damaging the school's reputation, the teachers suppressed the issue. Amit and Tammanna were called in, and after hearing everything, Amit was advised to keep his distance from Tammanna. Amit complied and maintained his distance, but the bullying started. Every day he was mocked and ridiculed for getting slapped by a girl, and this took a heavy toll on him. Amit stopped attending school in the 11th grade, only showing up for exams. He didn't talk to anyone and kept to himself. When it was time for the 12th grade, Amit told his parents that he didn't want to continue at that school and asked to be enrolled in an open school. His parents had no idea what had happened at school, but Amit had confided in his sister, who was close to him and a friend of Sejal. His sister managed to convince their parents to let him study through open schooling. Time passed, and Amit's sister, who was very close to him, convinced their parents that he should not go back to school and should be allowed to study through open schooling. When asked why, Amit said he wanted to prepare for government exams, and he somehow managed to handle the situation at that time. Amit completed his 11th grade from home, only attending school for exams, and he did the 12th grade through open schooling. After the 12th grade results were announced, Amit and his friends made plans to meet up. On the day they met after the results, Amit noticed something that made him feel deeply ashamed. All of his friends had brought their girlfriends, but he was alone. This realization hit him hard, that ever since Tammanna had slapped him, he hadn't spoken to another girl, and he didn't have a girlfriend. While they were all sitting together, Amit's friends joked that he would never get a girlfriend and that he should summon the Karn Pishachini spirit instead. Amit took this suggestion seriously, not realizing it was a joke. He thought his friend was giving him genuine advice to summon Karn Pishachini. Amit couldn't wait for the party to end so he could go home and research Karn Pishachini. When he got home, he started researching Karn Pishachini and found out that she is an entity that can fulfill all your desires. Whether they are physical or financial, it depends on you. Amit thought that if he couldn't have a girlfriend, he would summon an entity that could fulfill all his needs. What happens next is something you won't believe. After doing some research, Ayush learns that there are some Agoras, ascetics, in the forests of Pushkar, Rajasthan, who have complete knowledge of the Karna Pishachini. Upon learning this, Ayush becomes obsessed with reaching these Agoras, no matter what it takes. He plans a trip for a week and tells his family that he wants to visit Rajasthan to explore and prepare for government exams, as he's heard that preparation there is excellent. His parents, thinking he's sincere, give him money and tell him to take care and stay in a hotel if needed. Ayush, under the pretext of preparing for a government job, takes money from his parents and heads straight to Rajasthan. Once there, he books a hotel in Pushkar and begins asking the locals where he can find knowledgeable Agoras. Some locals direct him towards the forest, warning him that Agoras come there at night to perform rituals and that he should stay away from them. Ayush, pretending to be working on a project about Agori practices and rituals, ventures into the forest at night for 2 days, wandering around with the thought that he needs to return home within a week. They say that fate takes you where you want to go if you work hard enough. On the 3rd day, Ayush meets an Agori, sits with him, and asks for some knowledge about Karna Pishachini. The Agori looks at him and asks if he really thinks he is capable of mastering it. The Agori tells Ayush that he must live naked for 13 days and eat his own excrement if he wants to gain the knowledge. Ayush agrees, albeit hesitantly. The Agori takes Ayush to his hut, shows him 3 books, and explains that everything about Karna Pishachini is written in these books, but warns him that ordinary people cannot achieve this knowledge. Despite the Agori's warnings, Ayush insists on learning. He continues to serve the Agori, bringing him food, even though the Agori doesn't eat. Finally, the Agori decides to share the knowledge with Ayush. Ayush learns how to summon Karna Pishachini, what she is, what powers she grants, and how she is formed. On the day he is supposed to return home, Ayush knows that the Agori will be asleep for an hour. He steals the first book, which explains how to summon Karna Pishachini, and returns to his home in Chhattisgarh. Back home, Ayush hides the book in his bag and asks his parents for permission to move to Kota to prepare for government exams. His parents suggest he prepare from home, but Ayush convinces them to let him go, insisting that the best study environment is in Kota. His father agrees, thinking Ayush is serious about his studies, and gives him money for a flat. Ayush moves to Kota, finds a 2 BHK flat, and starts living there, secretly preparing for the ritual described in the book. To convince his parents, he enrolls in a coaching center but spends most of his time studying the book. Eventually, Ayush learns that there are 2 ways to summon Karna Pishachini: a long method, which is less gruesome, and a short one, which can be completed in a day but involves extremely difficult tasks. Ayush decides to go with the shorter method, despite the dangers involved. The ritual involves 3 stages. Over the first 10 days, Ayush feels a strange presence in his flat, as if a woman with long hair is there. By the 11th and 12th days, he feels sensations as if someone is touching his chest, cheeks, and hair, and the presence becomes more intense. On the 13th day, Ayush prepares himself for the final stage of the ritual, which involves consuming whatever falls into the fire during the ritual. As the ritual progresses, first a radish falls into the fire, which Ayush quickly eats. Then a pigeon falls in, which he also consumes, followed by a chicken, which he eats as well. After completing the ritual, Ayush clears the ritual area and lies down on his bed, expecting Karn Pishachini to appear. Days pass, but nothing happens. However, on the 7th day, Ayush starts experiencing a strange craving for non-vegetarian food, and his mind is consumed with the thought of eating meat. They have a strong craving for non-vegetarian food. They quickly go to a store, buy mutton and chicken, and start eating it raw at home, which gives them great satisfaction. However, every time they eat the mutton or chicken at night, they end up vomiting, and everything they ate comes out just the way it went in. But as they say, there was still one thing left that the tantric had instructed them to do. They had to sacrifice a finger. They prepare for the ritual again, setting everything up, and when they read the final chapter they had forgotten, they cut off the smallest toe on their foot and throw it away. After this, they go to sleep peacefully, having already made arrangements for the pain they were experiencing by applying medicines to numb their foot. They go to their room, lie down on the bed, and fall asleep. While sleeping, they suddenly see a female figure, like their dream girl, walking towards them and sitting beside them. She tells them, "You have achieved me. You belong only to me, and I belong only to you. Just remember, no one else should touch you. You can't belong to anyone else. I am yours, and you are mine." After saying this, they engage in physical relations, completely losing themselves in each other. Ayush is extremely happy. Days go by, and their physical relations become more and more intense, happening every day. Whenever Ayush demands money, it somehow appears in his pockets, provided by the Karn Pishachini, a female demonic spirit, who is now showering him with money. After 2 to 2.5 weeks of this, someone suddenly knocks on their door from outside while Ayush is resting inside, completely unconcerned, as if life had settled into him and he was living it comfortably. When they open the door, they see that their elder sister has arrived at their apartment. She asks, "What's going on? You haven't been to coaching for the past 3 to 4 weeks, nor have you spoken to anyone. What's the problem?" Ayush can't think of anything and directly says, "Sister, that girl who slapped me in school is now sitting in our coaching after taking admission, and she told everyone about the slap, so I'm not going there." His sister takes this very emotionally, thinking that Ayush was deeply disturbed by that slap before, but she didn't know that Ayush had grown so cunning that he was now deceiving her into believing his lies. His sister says, "Okay, Dad called the coaching center to transfer the fees and found out that you haven't been attending for 2 to 3 weeks. I'll tell him you weren't feeling well, so you can relax while I talk to him." So, while his sister convinces their father that Ayush wasn't well, their father believes her, thinking Ayush must be resting and skipping coaching due to his health. His sister then asks, "Take me around Rajasthan. What is there to see?" They spend the whole day touring Rajasthan. Ayush shows his sister around well, and at night when they return to his room, his sister says, "I'm staying here tonight. Tomorrow I'll go meet the person I'm supposed to marry." Ayush knew that her relationship with her fiancé was ongoing and that her fiancé also lived in Rajasthan. So he says, "Sure, sister, no problem, you can stay." They were very close to each other, and his sister even offers to give him an oil massage at night. After the massage, they talk until they fall asleep. In the morning, when his sister wakes up, she says, I'm leaving now, take care of yourself. To which Ayush, still half asleep, replies, Okay, we'll talk later. You go ahead. His sister leaves, closing the door behind her. Ayush wakes up a couple of hours later, looks in the mirror, and sees that all his hair is gone. He's bald. He doesn't know where his hair went, but he realizes that the Karn Pishachini couldn't tolerate even his sister touching him. He quickly calls home to check on his sister and remembers that she went to meet her fiancé. When he calls his fiancé's house, his brother-in-law, the fiancé, answers, crying in the hospital. I don't know what your sister did. She burned herself. Ayush is horrified and asks what happened. His brother-in-law explains over the phone that she came home, they sat and talked, and she said she was going to get a glass of water. Then she went to the kitchen, turned on the gas, and put both her hands on it. Her hands were completely burned. When I smelled something burning, I ran to her, tried to shake her, but she didn't move. I somehow managed to drag her to the bed and brought her to the hospital. Ayush is overwhelmed with fear, thinking that if the Karn Pishachini couldn't tolerate this, what else could she do in the future to cause him harm? This is a lesson for all the boys out there, those who are in 10th, 12th grade, or in college, who think that getting involved with a Karn Pishachini is some sort of fantasy. A Karn Pishachini is not just any entity. She can completely destroy you. Ayush goes to the hospital to see his sister and cries a lot after seeing her condition. He spends one night there and then returns to his apartment. As soon as he enters, the Karn Pishachini is sitting there and directly tells him, No one should touch you. You are only mine. She then attacks Ayush, scratching him so severely that by morning, Ayush is left lying in his room, covered in blood. Several hours pass before Ayush can even stand up. He calls his family and makes up a story about getting into a fight at the coaching center, saying that some boys came to his room, beat him up, and then left. He asks his father to come and take care of his treatment. Ayush's parents travel to Kota, Rajasthan, and have him treated. When asked what happened, Ayush continues to lie, saying it was a fight at the coaching center, not revealing the truth that everything was due to the Karn Pishachini, which was his biggest mistake. After some time in treatment, Ayush recovers and returns home with his parents to Chhattisgarh, later returning to Kota, Rajasthan after a few weeks, saying he needs to continue his studies. However, his sister's hands are still not healing, and Ayush comes up with a plan. He decides to surrender himself to the tantric in Pushkar. When Ayush arrives at the tantric's place, before he can even say anything, the tantric tells him, I knew you would come. Your mistake will cost you dearly. What did you think? That you could steal a book and control the Karn Pishachini? How is your sister? Ayush begs, Save my sister, her hands are burned. The tantric replies, And how are you? Enjoying yourself with the Karn Pishachini, fulfilling all your desires. Ayush falls at the tantric's feet, pleading for help to save his family, his sister, and himself. The tantric tells him, Stay here for 2 days. We will perform a ritual that will take 2 days. During this time, the Karn Pishachini will try everything to take you, but you must do exactly as I say. The tantric continues, Nothing will happen during the first night, and nothing will happen during the second night, but on the third night, the Karn Pishachini will come to take you, and our battle with her will begin. For 2 nights, the tantric performs rituals, keeping Ayush within a circle. On the third night, the tantric warns Ayush not to step outside the circle, no matter what happens. At exactly 2 to 3 a.m., during the ritual, the winds start blowing violently around the circle, trying to force Ayush out of it. The tantric and his disciples try to manage the situation, but Ayush feels as if he is being pulled out by a strong gust of wind that no one else can feel. The tantric opens his eyes and orders his disciples to create a larger circle around Ayush. The Karn Pishachini, who was invisible, was trying to pull Ayush out of the circle, which appeared to everyone else as a strong wind. The disciples quickly create a larger circle, and the Karn Pishachini stands outside, trying to attack the tantric but unable to do so. Ayush had smeared his entire body with a special ointment and had even consumed it during the ritual. The tantric watches as the Karn Pishachini tries to pull Ayush out of the circle for 4 hours, and when Ayush opens his eyes, he sees 6 to 7 women pulling him towards them. The Karn Pishachini keeps screaming for Ayush to come with her, claiming that they had made a pact, and he belongs to her. After about half an hour of this, the 6 or 7 women, who were actually the tantric's disciples in disguise, cut off all the Karn Pishachini's hair. With her hair gone, the Karn Pishachini loses her memory and forgets everything about Ayush. The tantric explains to Ayush that everything he did, including eating and applying the filth during the ritual, was what made the Karn Pishachini so attached to him. The tantric tells Ayush that the Karn Pishachini's power was in her hair, and by cutting it off, they were able to detach her from him. The tantric warns Ayush to be careful in the future and advises him to forget about the Karn Pishachini, as seeking shortcuts in life can lead to bigger problems. Key learnings. 1. Be cautious of seeking shortcuts in life. The story highlights the dangers of seeking shortcuts or easy ways to achieve success or fulfillment. Ayush's desire to summon the Karn Pishachini and fulfill his desires led to disastrous consequences. 2. Respect the power of the unknown. The story shows that the Karn Pishachini is a powerful entity that should not be trifled with. Ayush's ignorance and arrogance led to his downfall. 3. The importance of honesty and integrity. Ayush's lies and deception led to his sister's harm and his own downfall. Honesty and integrity are essential in building trust and avoiding harm to oneself and others. Finally, before leaving, I request you all to please support my channel, subscribe Horror Stories, and turn on the bell notification so you get the latest video updates first. Stay tuned to the channel until the next video. Thank you.